Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 2 of Keeping the Faith with your host, Helen. I forgot to introduce myself the last time, but it wasn't about me. But my name is Helen Blashars, and I am an end-of-life midwife. That is one of my professions. So I help people get through the grieving process when they lose a loved one. And then my dear friend here, Faith Green, just happens to be someone that is in that predicament. And so we're trying to come together to hopefully help people and guide you in the right direction. If you are grieving in some way and you have lost someone special to you, we are hoping that these podcasts that we're doing can be helpful. And we're trying to relax. This is our second episode. We kind of learned from the first, and we're drinking some tea. I got me some really good tea, and my nice cup says, "Let all that you do be done in love." 1 Corinthians 16:14. So that's mine. Share your cup, Faith. What you got?
This one says, mine says
Manifest
man.
that ish.
That's what mine says.
I love it. I love it. We need to, that's what we're doing now. That is what we're doing now. So we're going to get started here. I wanted to introduce Faith, and we know about the horrific tragedy that happened to her and her family on September 21st, 2016. We do have a video clip that will kind of start us off with the grief process. The name of this episode is Grieving with Faith. And I think that we can help each other while we're seeing how you grieve, Faith. So welcome. Real briefly, I'm going to talk about first step. If you could step in if you want to.
Okay.
We don't really have no way that we're
right.
doing
I told
it.
you did an excellent job. Everything that you pulled up was accurate, but I am going to say something when you finish.
Okay, good. So first step is a program. I believe they help victims of domestic violence, all types of violence, sexual,
Sexual
emotional,
assault.
sexual assault, all of that. They do have a 24-hour helpline. So if you are in need, I believe they help in all states, but this is a local number, but I'm sure they can guide you. It is 734-722-6800. And I'll have that on the screen when I edit this podcast as well. So once again, that's 734-722-6800 if you find yourself in need of any of those services. They have 24-hour on-call assault response teams. They have temporary emergency housing. They have a safety plan if you're trying to leave someone that's abusive. So that can be really helpful. Support group, counseling, legal, financial, medical, and housing information, transitional supportive housing, community organizing, education awareness and risk reduction programs, in-service training, domestic violence, sexual assault, stalking, etc. Children's counseling and support counseling, and men's support groups as well. So they can help anyone. We also would like to ask if you could join our Patreon community. It is where you could just go there by looking, it's just patreon.com/keeping the faith. And you can subscribe to as low as $5 a month, because I quickly realized that I am not the IT person that I thought I was. So if you are someone out there that can help us with this podcast and would like to donate your time, we would love it very much. I'm doing okay. I know Faith, my cheerleader, so she
you're
got
doing
me.
a great job.
Okay. So you go ahead.
But what I was gonna say about First Step, it is an awesome program. I actually went through the program when I was in the hospital when everything happened to me. They gave me a folder of resources, and that was the first one that I came across and reached out to. I went through counseling through them. I went through their transitional program. They helped me get housing.
Really?
They helped me get my first apartment. Uh, uh, they were awesome, very patient. They helped me get my life back on track. So I am very grateful for First Step. I still do volunteering work with them. So I can say the program is very helpful. So if you know someone that needs help, that number is available for them. They
Yes.
will help help you. So I still reach out to my advocate when I do motivational speaking or if I have questions, things like that. So I can refer back to them or, just if I come across the person so I know how to help them. Um, there is no perfect way to help a person. You just have
Mhm.
to be available for them, be patient, be kind. That's all that you can do for them and lead them in the right direction. And I'm glad Helen introduced herself this time because I said last time she didn't do it and I was going to do it this time. But yeah, so um, I hope everyone is able to get something out of this. That is the goal, to be able to help each other.
Yeah, I think with our response that we got from the first episode, and thank you so much. I believe on TikTok we hit like 11,000 views on one of the videos, so that lets me know that people are motivated to listen, and maybe it was a word in there that helped. And from the comments, if we got time today, we're gonna do a little question and answer for some of those
Mm-hmm. Yep. And every
supporters.
time, sorry, not to cut you off. And every time we
No,
get on here, we're gonna always do our disclaimer. We always want to keep this friendly. We always want to keep this positive. So any
yes,
negativity is not wanted. You have to keep that to yourself. Because this is a free space for people to be open, for people that are going to need help. So we have to keep
and
it like
and
that.
I filter all of my social media platforms
Yeah.
and make sure that I am watching for that. So it usually doesn't get through, but if it does, it gets to me first, so it
Mm-hmm.
won't get past me. So that's
Yeah.
that's good to know. But
Yeah.
yeah, that is very important. So right now, what we're going to do, we have a short video because again,
Mm-hmm.
this episode is entitled "Grieving with Faith." So we're going to go through the process, and I'll explain what grieving is. And after the video, Faith is going to talk really briefly.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, we're ready.
When interview, take one, Mark.
It's a very heavy feeling, the pain, the hurt. It's hard to come out of the pain. It's hard to cope with it. I think some kind of way I detach because I'm like, I don't want to break down. I don't want to cry. So I think I just try to keep it, it's hard. I just try to keep it together the best that I can. I don't want to cry. I feel like I've cried so much, you get tired of crying. Just don't want to cry anymore. You just want pain to go away. And it never does. You just learn how to cope with it. Sorry. I just don't want to hurt anymore.
I can't believe I did this, man. But I knew once I got to a certain point, I couldn't turn back.
He's just the most craziest, demonic type person to do something like this.
A lot of people gonna be shocked, man. I knew I was gonna do something, and like that was it.
He was a monster in disguise. I just think something just wasn't right with him.
I'm so sorry. I'm sorry.
The comment I was gonna make was that just watching it, seeing the person that you were married to and seeing how they're a completely different person. It was like someone on the first 48 and they're just not the person that you knew before. So it was like really weird.
Yeah, I'm sure. I'm sure you seeing
So
him after was was overwhelming too.
Yeah, it was very overwhelming. So even though that video, it was more to the video. So just to share just a little bit more. Um, the other thing, because the thing is make a very long story short. So I was at the police station when I actually seen that video. So it messed me up even more because the officer asked him in that interrogation video, well, were you going to kill your wife? And he said, no, it was destined. So just imagine someone that you used to be married to, someone that you had
Oh
children with,
no.
saying that they were not going to kill you. They purposely left you alive so that you can suffer.
Oh,
And I just, in my mind at that time, I remember saying, but I didn't do anything. I mean, I never deserved it, but it was just your brain trying to make sense of it, and you can't.
that
And you're
bargaining.
trying to, right. And you're trying to understand, like, why did he do this? Why? So it was it's like, I really don't even have the word. I was going to say very disheartening, but it's much more than that.
Yeah.
So that's
Yeah.
basically what I was gonna say, because there's so
Right.
much more to that video.
Right. And I know we got to cut it down, but it was a good opening
Yeah,
with it. And
yeah.
what I really thought it really captured was like the grief in the moment. And I wanted
Hmm.
to talk a little bit about that. And I just because I don't like to expect people to, I don't like to expect for people to know things. So I'm going to read you the definition of grief first, and we'll start it off that way. So grief is deep sorrow. Grief is the anguish experienced after significant loss, usually the death of a beloved person. So that's kind of
Hmm.
the Webster dictionary. Now, there are stages of grief. Some might argue that there are seven stages. When when I was coming up, I was taught it was five stages. That's what I kind of learned in school. So the first stage
Hmm.
being denial, then anger, bargaining, depression, and acceptance. Now, what
Hmm.
I didn't know until I started going through my own grief, and you can add to this, Faith, was that you can go from acceptance back down to denial with one event, or one thought. So
Right.
you have to stay in these stages, or like it's not like I'm in acceptance forever. And then when my dad's birthday comes around or the anniversary of his death, then I'm
Hmm.
back down in denial or bargaining. So yeah,
Right. Right. Because a lot of people do think, oh well, I went through all these stages, I'm done. It does not work like that. You know what I'm saying? You can do number 5 and then number 3. You know what I'm saying? It constantly changes, and then something can happen and trigger the bargaining, the anger, and
mm-hmm.
then it starts all over again. It could be the birthday or a holiday, or it could be a smell, a memory.
Yes,
So it constantly changes, and just because it happened in a year, it's like this unwritten rule that you have to do everything in a year. Like, everybody was on me about getting my children's grave markers. You know, my oldest kids, their family, my family. I wasn't ready to do it yet because I felt like that was something final. So and it was the whole thing with that too. But I just was not ready because I felt like, I mean, I knew they were gone, but they were really, really gone if I
right.
do that.
Okay, I got you.
I mean,
Yeah,
eventually, it got taken care of, but it was just, I wasn't ready.
right. Yeah, that should have been understandable, but I get it, and
Hmm.
because I worked in that industry, so I know that families sometimes want that to finalize things.
Hmm.
Describe a day in your life now. What is it like to be you today?
Let's see. I was thinking about that question. What is it like to be me? I still think I'm the same a little bit, but probably like 98% of me has died, and I became a new person. because when you go through grief, when you lose loved ones, you're not the same, especially with children. And it's not really a normal thing to lose multiple children all at once or multiple different times. So it definitely changes you. It makes you numb. Trauma does bring up a lot of unresolved issues, childhood issues. Your tolerance changes. And I think for me, it made me realize a lot of different things with people, family, and I started setting boundaries, which I hadn't done in the past, which is a good thing. And then you really start realizing who is for you and who's not for you. And I think you realize, I guess you really realize how strong you are, but time you realize you shouldn't have to be that strong and you shouldn't have to tolerate a lot of different things. And um death makes you a different person. You have to, I don't really know how to say this. Like for me, I felt like when everything happened, I felt like I got dropped off in a desert in a foreign land and I had to relearn, you know what I'm saying? Relearn
Yes.
everything. Like I had
Yeah.
to relearn the language, the ways of the world, the land. I had to learn how to trust. I didn't know who I was going to trust or who was going to take advantage. So it's a lot. It's
Yes.
a lot,
Yes. Yeah.
and it's a process, and a lot of times people don't understand you. And honestly, the way I am, I can really care less because I can care less if people like me or don't like me. That's just how I
Right.
am.
Right.
But I still feel like I still am a loving, caring person that hasn't changed. It made me more distant
Mm-hmm.
than I was before. So
And stronger for sure. You
yeah,
don't think
and
you knew your
stronger.
strength. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
What's your biggest trigger and what helps you cope with it?
Let's see. I was thinking about that too. Um, I, I believe my biggest trigger is my children's birthdays. Because I have like three birthdays, and three in a row. August,
Yeah.
September, October. Those are my biggest triggers. I'm sure I have other triggers. I just couldn't really think of them, but those are my
I was
biggest
thinking about
ones.
that, Todd. While you thinking, I was thinking about that, and
Mm-hmm.
I was thinking about their birthdays because you told me that before, and I was thinking that
Yeah.
maybe we can do something different this year since we can get all of their
Mm-hmm.
birthdays. So maybe we
Yeah.
can do an episode in honor of each one of your children. And because they've been grouped
Mm-hmm.
together because of this tragedy. And I really was thinking about this, Faith. So it was kind of divine that you
Yeah.
said that. And I was like,
Yeah.
okay,
I
we
was
can,
I was actually, because somebody suggested to me like doing something for their birthdays all together. Because the first year I tried to do birthday. It destroyed me. So I know I can't do that. But the thing is, I love birthdays more than any holidays. That's my thing. Like people tell you, like I love to celebrate you. Um,
yes.
my children really loved Christmas. I don't celebrate holidays anymore. Like if somebody invites me to their house or something like that, I will enjoy the festivities. But as far as me personally celebrating, I don't do that. I don't decorate. But but like a birthday, okay, you can count me in for birthdays. I'm gonna celebrate birthdays. I feel like that's something very, very important. But yeah,
Yeah, but that's
that's that. I
something
think
that we
that's
can think about.
yeah,
We'll think about it and
yeah,
figure it
yeah,
might be something that'll helpful or it might make the list and it might not. That's okay.
yeah, yeah,
If you could
yeah.
describe your life now in one word, what would you choose and why?
And we were talking about that's number three. We were talking about that. And I said, you know what? I was like, wow. I was like, I was like, Helen is all in my mail. I said, you know what? That's something I've been talking about. And I was just talking to another friend about that. And I was like, that is the perfect question because I'll make it real short. So, because a friend of mine wanted me to go to an event on Saturday, but since Mother Nature was here, I was so sick I just couldn't get out the bed. So, the woman was asking, how I was, and she says that I forgot how did I word it earlier. I
You
think I
choose
said,
to live.
oh yeah, choosing to live. And I said, wow. I said, that was perfectly said. I said, because I was just having a conversation with someone before and I shared at something else, like a group thing I went to. And I said, that's exactly what I said. I said, I have to choose to live. And when I was at a group session and the girl was like, I'm glad that you chose to be here.
I'm gonna
And
make you
I
a
cleared,
t-shirt that say that.
oh, okay. And I had to
That's
clarify with
perfect.
her. It is. I had to clarify with her. I said, I'm not talking about suicide. I said, I'm talking about mentally, physically, and spiritually, because I was on my way out of here because I was like walking death, severely depressed. But I kept hearing that little voice saying, you said you didn't want to stay stuck.
You know, that's one
And
of
I
my
had to,
questions.
yep.
What do
I
you
think
mean
I'm
by, what
done.
did you mean by that? What do you think that, what do you interpret that to mean when it say you didn't want to say
Because
stuff?
because when I was in the basement, he had us tied up in the basement and he was just talking and he was like he wanted me to suffer. And before this is like he was just talking. He was sitting up on the counter just talking. And he was like he wanted me to suffer. And in my head, I was like, because I didn't know, but this time I didn't know what he was going to do. Originally, I thought he was just going to take the girls and leave. So, because he's just sitting there on top on the counter just talking, so I didn't feel threatened or anything. So in my head, I'm like, I'm not about to suffer. And I was just like, and I remember saying like, God, please wake my
Did he
mom
have you
up because
tied up? Did he have you tied up at
yeah,
that?
no, he had us tied up, my son, my daughter, and me in the basement tied up, and I remember saying like, I am not gonna suffer. So, and then fast forward to when I was
Oh, okay.
so severely depressed. And it was, and that voice was telling me like, well, you said you didn't want to stay stuck. You didn't want to suffer. And I was like, I had to fight for my life. I had to fight to live. And like I said, mentally, spiritually, and physically, people walk around here every day that, stuck in the same place as whatever traumatic happened to them. It could be 1985 and it's
Mm-hmm.
2024, but they're still stuck in 1985. And I said, I did not want that for myself. So I had to fight to be where I'm at now. So that's what I mean by I didn't want to stay stuck.
Yes, that's beautiful. I'm
Yeah.
glad you explained that.
Yeah.
What is the question people ask you that you dislike the most?
How you doing? I mean, I know because, but what it is because they just don't know what to say,
Yeah.
So like, because I'm like, how do you answer? How are you doing? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, if
It's
they
like,
haven't seen you since, like
I
if
mean,
I ask that, I've talked to you all the time, but if somebody asks
yeah,
that ain't seen you
but it's
since,
like, but I mean, whether they know me or not, or haven't seen me, you know, like, how do you answer that? I mean, like, how do you think, I mean, not trying to be smart and like, how do you think I'm doing? I'm surviving. I'm
well, I'm gonna
coping.
have to
I'm
come
trying to
up with
make
a new
sure,
phrase. Because I'm
trying
like, well, I mean,
to,
we're from
it's
Detroit.
like,
We can say, what up, though?
yeah, I mean, because what it is, I mean, I know where they're coming from because they don't know what to say, So, but what I've learned when we had our grief counselor, and he's the one that explained, people say stuff, and sometimes they say, let me tell you, they say some messed up stuff to you. You know what I'm saying? Like people have said some messed up stuff to me because they don't know what to say.
Like
So,
what? Do you got any examples of that? Just so, I mean, if
like within that first week, told me I need to forgive my ex-husband.
oh,
Just
really?
stuff like that. Yes. and then people trying to talk to me about past situations that we haven't talked in 10, 15, I'm just saying this is not the time or the place to
Yeah,
be trying to talk about different stuff, or
right,
it
right.
is.
They're just nervous. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. How have you integrated the loss of your children into your everyday life?
I keep their pictures up. Um, I share their pictures on social media, like on their birthdays and things like that. I don't do it as much as I used to. I talk about my children
Yeah.
like they're still here. I don't like to talk about them in the past. That's just my thing. I mean, I know the difference between reality and I know they're not here, but I like keeping their pictures up all over my house. Their artwork and just different things like that. I do things in honor of them.
Mm-hmm.
That's I'm always going to continue to do that. And I like talking, telling about their stories and different things like that. So
I
that's what I do, and I'm
know.
continuing to do that.
It's really cool.
Yeah.
So if you could offer another bereaved parent some hope to hold on to, what would you tell them? And I know you do this a lot when you talk.
Yeah.
And,
I was really thinking about that because you really want to be careful and you want to choose your words wisely because when a parent loses a child, it's like walking on eggshells because you can say the sun is blue and they'll be like, what do you mean? You know what I'm saying? Like the slightest anything. So you gotta really choose your words
mm-hmm.
wisely. I try to say things like, I understand what you're going through. Um, I hate to say like if you wanna I really hate to say like if you wanna talk, I try to say like I'm here and leave it like that. Um,
Mm-hmm.
if I'm
That's more
texting,
powerful too. I like that.
yeah.
I mean,
If I'm texting, I try to do like a smile and heart. Sometimes I don't want to do prayer hands and things like that because I feel like sometimes that could be just generic and the hug signs are generic.
mm-hmm.
Um, and then I try to say things when you're ready, we can do lunch. I try to keep it like something like that. Um, and just try to check on them. So one thing I learned, less is best. You don't
Mm-hmm.
want to say too much. So you have to just keep it short and simple
Yeah.
because everything is emotional. And then once they get to a better place, then you can share a little more because you don't want to say too much because everything, you know what I'm saying, is just
Yeah.
everything, the slightest anything can set you off.
Right. Well, with that being said, what would you say is the most horrific, gut-wrenching, torturous part of life after the loss of your children? I know that's
Um,
a hard question, probably. I can imagine.
It's a hard question, but an easy question. And I say that because I still catch myself saying like, "Oh, I'm gonna say this for Chad," and I'm like, "Damn, I'm sorry, let me say damn."
Yeah,
But but
I know what you mean.
yeah, because you know what I'm saying, I enjoyed my children. Like, because my
Yes.
son and I, we would do stuff like scare each other, like go around the corner or you know what I'm saying, like or share food. Just you know what I'm saying? We all did different stuff, or my daughter would put up on the couch with me and put her feet up under my leg, or I'm doing this to her hair, or she's doing this to my hair, or you know what I'm saying. We all did different stuff, so it's like we would all cuddle in the bed, or just do different things together, just randomly barbecue, and it could just be just me and the kids, or my nieces and nephews would come over.
Yeah.
So it's like we always did stuff together. So I miss that. So I still expect them to be here. So that is the loneliness that I experience because, you know, by my older two being so much older, Kara would be in college, Chadney would be, he just started his business, and then I would still have two at home.
Right.
So it's just the absence of children being in the home. So
Yeah.
I still miss that.
Yes, yes. Wow. So, how has your children's death changed your relationship with men?
I was thinking about that. Harder. I would say harder to trust. Um, look, I guess you would look at them differently.
Mm.
And then the other thing too is not knowing if they're really interested in me or not. There are times men are just interested because of the story, because of what happened. I've been told like, "Oh, I seen you in your when you made your court
Wow.
statement. You
Are they
look
really
nice."
clout chasing because of that? Really?
Yes, yes. Yeah,
Oh
but I even had a
no.
I
That
even
is
had a guy that pretended like he was interested in my book and that he wanted me to come and speak somewhere, but that wasn't the case. Things like that. So I have to like be careful and see if that is
yes.
the case. But then it's
Oh,
just other guys just some are um some don't even know who I am and they're just being like how some regular dudes are being. So.
yeah. So, what do you think is the best way to keep Chadney, Karakoy, and Kaylee's memory alive?
Um I'm gonna always continue to talk about them, share their stories. I talk to other moms about them, if they need advice. I mean, because I've been a mom up until 19, so I do have some experience, a lot of
Mhm.
experience, so I can offer advice. Um, with my son, I'm working on Chadware to keep his memory alive for that. My daughter, I want to do scholarship in the medical field, and the younger two, I'm still trying to figure that out if I'm going to go back to making hand sanitizer for them, or if I'm just going to do something for like I don't know, scholarship or either some type of donation to like grade school level, like to a family. So I'm still trying to figure that part out, but definitely scholarship for the medical field and Chadware that I'm working on.
Oh, well, I'll be helping in whatever way I can.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
Yes. What helps you most when you feel waves of anger, despair, or grief?
Mm. To be in my own place. This is my place of comfort in my home. Light my candle so I can just relax. Um, talk to my friends, not just anybody, but certain ones,
Right, right.
because I don't want anybody just telling me anything. So you got to tell me like it is, whether I want to hear it or not.
If you could tell the kids anything, what would it be?
That I love them and I'm always gonna love them, and I try my best as a mom,
I'm telling
and
my
I'm
love
gonna
them too.
continue to, and I'm gonna always continue to honor them always.
Yeah. Well, I think you kind of answered this, but what makes you feel most connected with your children? You kind of talked about having their things out and, you know.
Oh yeah. Other thing I was gonna say is, yeah, I love having their pictures and things like that. For a really long time, it was crazy. It was things with lights would happen, and my one friend, she was like, "I really believe that's the kids." So my
I
middle
believe in
girl,
ghosts. I have to tell you some stories afterward.
no, I
I
believe that too.
believe in
So
them.
my middle girl
They're
had this.
angels.
I forgot that she even had this. It was like a light up ball with a fish or something, and how it has like the water glitter stuff in it. And I forgot that she had it, but when we cleaned up the house, that was one of the things that she wanted. So it was in my godson's room, and she said that she had it for like over a year, and then it just lit up. And she had sent
Mm-hmm.
me a picture. I was in Florida at the time, and she was like, "Oh my God!" She's like, "I had to send this to you." She was like, "It just lit up." and then it shrunk down to nothing. So then it was some other incidents with lights on. I made a backdrop and I had string lights on it, and it was like the lights were off, and then we were sitting in the living room, and they just came on. Like, so it's
Oh
like
man.
so it
Yes.
happened since I've been here and at my other apartment. So I have like the string lights on. I'm like, oh, they're not working. Then I'll come back on. I'll come back in, and then the
Oh.
string lights on. And I'm like, oh, I was like, hey kids, that's like the most I'll say. I'll talk to them in my head, but I don't really talk to them out loud. I don't know why, but I'm like, oh, okay, they here. They got the lights. They got the lights on. And then this is the last story, but it was like the first year I'm sleeping. So when I sleep, I sleep with the covers up my ear like this. So,
Mm-hmm.
and my son came to me. He was like, "Mom," and like pull the covers down, but my arms are like this. I woke up and the covers were down, but my arms were like this. So he came to me in my
Oh,
sleep. Yeah,
I know. I've had dreams of my father, so you know,
yeah,
it's beautiful to get. You know, I just call them like little blessings. Every time I have a dream like that, it's just a
yeah,
blessing. So, well, how
yeah.
do you feel about? I know that when people go through a trauma like what you've been through or losing loved ones, that sometimes I don't even know how to ask the question, Faye.
Yeah. Just say the best way you know how. That's what I tell people. Just say the best way you know how.
Okay. How are you like with children, first of all? Like, are you okay with around children? If people like if I mention, my children, or if I, one day grandchildren, I mean, are you okay with that? Or
Um,
do you want
I
children, more
I'm
children? Would you
this is
consider it?
this is at one time I did, but I don't want children anymore.
Mhm.
Because I do have Eshore. That's where after I had the last one, because I didn't want to take a chance and getting pregnant again. I did want another one, but I said I don't want him to breathe on me, and then I pop up pregnant again. So I got Eshore, and then that's where they put these coils in your tube. So it is reversible. You just have to get
But what
surgery
about like
for it.
adoption or fostering?
I don't want to do that now. I'm at the
Okay.
place now, like I just want to meet somebody. So if they have children, I want to be a grandmother. But I do have godchildren. I still love children. It's just hard for me now to be around children for like a prolonged amount of time, and I don't like that. So it's like I'm
Yes.
still working through that. And I said this year I want to be more present for my godchildren and my nieces, because I love them, and
Right.
I want them to know me, and
Yeah. Yeah.
like especially with my oldest niece, because I mean she knows something's happened,
Yes. Yes. She
so
knows. Yeah.
because for the longest she was young when it happened. I think maybe 4 or 5, 3 or something like that. And because she would be like, "TT, what happened to your face?" And I was like, "I got in an accident." But she kept looking at me like we always say, "It's the it please look," But then
Mhm.
I finally had said to her, because I was babysitting her and her brother for a while, and I said, well, TT will tell you when your mom says it's okay. And then it was like she kind of got a piece, like, okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
but I mean, I don't like that it's this way. It's part of the trauma, but I'm
Yeah.
hoping that I want to be able to get through it.
Yes.
I mean, because children have always been my love. I've been taking care of kids and watching kids since I was 9 years old.
Yes.
So,
Yes.
and I still have that love. I mean, I still babysitting like that. I just, you know, it's a process to work through it.
Yes.
So,
Yes.
and I know
Well,
I'm
that's
gonna
good
get
to
through
know.
it.
Yeah. I'm
Yeah.
I'm sure because, you know, you're really
Yeah.
doing well with everything. Every aspect of it is like God is over you. Thinking of that,
Mhm.
um, I know a lot of people when they go through trauma, they also change, their spiritual belief or religious belief.
Mhm.
How did that affect you when this happened? And what was your beliefs before, and with the children, how did you raise them? you know?
I mean, I grew up myself going to church. My children went to church.
You broke up right there when you said that.
I'm sorry. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I hear you.
Okay. I was saying, I grew up going to church myself. My children went to church. I believe I had a better balance than how I grew up. But after the death of my children, I periodically went and then I just stopped going. It's just for me, it's like I need answers, and I just didn't want to just be going to church out of repetition. And I still believe there's a God, a higher power, but I just don't feel like I need to go to church at this point in my life. I still pray sometimes, but it's just certain things that I need answers and things like that.
Yeah.
So that's where I'm at with my
Yeah.
belief right now. But I've had people telling me like, you just gotta believe. So that was the other thing too. I couldn't think of earlier when I was telling people just was telling me stuff like, I mean, you
Mhm.
can say whatever you want to say to me all day long, but you're not gonna tell me how I need to believe or what I need to
Yes.
do far as God, because you are not in my shoes. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
The thing is, you still have a family. I don't. So
Hmm.
until I get what it is I need, then I'll see about maybe religion or whatever.
Right, for sure. Yeah, that's fair to say. So we did really good in our first episode, and we had a lot of questions. So I picked just a few that I
Mm-hmm.
thought were appropriate, and I filtered everything out. We didn't have
Mm-hmm.
anything inappropriate, by the way. So thank you,
Okay.
audience. You guys were really supportive. And so the first question, oh, I asked you this about the inner voice. You said
Yeah.
you didn't want to be stuck. So you answered that one. Okay, so the second
Yeah.
question was, what do you think when you see your or feel your physical scars? Because I know that you received some physical scars from that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, they don't. I mean, as far as like looking in the mirror and things like that, they don't bother me. They never have. When I was in a hospital, when I had the stitches, somebody said to me, "Well, did you see your face?" And I was just like, "No, I'll see it when I see it." But as far as like the cold, because I have neuropathy in my face, the cold bothers me. It bothers my foot. So, um, depending on how cold it gets, um, with my foot, sometimes I limp because then I get sciatic on that left side.
Mhm.
But I just
We just got to
I
move
just deal
somewhere
with it.
warm, babe. We just got to move somewhere warm. No, I'm just kidding.
Eventually I am. Eventually I am. But I mean, I just deal with it. And I don't see no point in complaining about it because I
Yeah,
mean I could be dead. So
right,
like I
exactly.
was
Do people
telling,
ever
I
ask
was
you? I hope
yeah.
people would never just ask you, like, what happened? Do you ever get that?
Um, I've had people come up to me and ask me like, "Well, what happened to your face?" People that don't even know me, like, "What's that
Are
on
you
your face?"
serious?
Yes, yeah. But I
That's
was on a
crazy.
podcast Thursday, about survival, and what I was telling them is, like in my face, what they explained to me is, you got air ducts and just veins and things like that going through your face. Like I never even thought about it. I just thought it was, I don't know. I just thought it was just in your legs and arms
Yeah,
and stuff
yeah,
like
yeah.
that. So what they explained to me is like it's called branches. So you have like it's like here, 1, 2, and 3 in your face, and I'm like, oh, I never even thought
Wow.
about that. But the thing is, on this left side, he cut me so deep. I used to have a line here, but my face surgeon, he was like, "Oh, I can cut that off for you if you want." I was just like, "I guess if you want." I'm like, "I really don't care. And
Hmm.
but so what the thing is, they had to stitch on the inside first and then the outside. And if he would have cut me probably an inch or less, I would have bled out. And then on
Wow.
top of that, I had to get a blood infusion because I had lost so much blood.
Oh my
But
God.
I remember when they were stitching me, student, the doctor, I said I wanted to find the doctor who actually did the stitching and thank him.
Now, if you're
He
watching
had the
this, get
students
in touch
sit.
with us. No, let's give it a shout
He was
out.
awesome. I remember he was awesome. He was nervous. I remember he was sweating. I remember the look in his face, like nervousness. Because he had told them to stop and told them to go to a whole nother location, which I thought was so weird. And he just finished doing the stitching. But he did an awesome job. But I remember him being nervous and sweat dripping because he was, I'm sure, nervous, and
Yeah,
maybe never
yeah.
seen it, maybe never seen anything like that in his life. But yeah,
No, it's really
I
hard right
remember.
after that. And I can just only imagine. Were you conscious at all when you was in the hospital? Because you was there for a
No,
while.
yeah, yeah, I was there for a couple of days. No, I was conscious. I had to be conscious for the whole thing because I had to make sure,
Your video stopped.
that did
Your
it stop?
video stopped.
Oh, what happened?
Okay, say that again. Okay. You said you was
No,
conscious.
no, I was conscious. No, I was conscious the whole time. So they don't put you to sleep or anything like that because they didn't, because the cut was so deep. So they had to stick out my tongue and stuff like that. So no,
Hmm.
I was conscious the whole time, but I was conscious but not conscious, if that made sense. So people
Yeah.
were talking to me, and I was just like, I don't know what you. I mean, I remember saying like, I don't know what you're saying to me, you know. So it was like it wasn't. I wasn't comprehending,
Yeah, you wasn't there. You was
Yep, I
man,
was not there at all.
yeah,
Yeah.
and yes, definitely. Um, so I asked you most of the questions, we was just kicking it. So see, I'm glad we're more relaxed. I do feel a
Yeah.
lot more relaxed. I was
Yeah.
really nervous. I don't know if it showed the first time. I feel
Yeah,
a
that's
lot
why
more
that's
relaxed.
why I was telling you, you got this. I'm glad that you're able to come up with the questions, and I mean, because I didn't know how I was gonna be able to do this podcast, so I thank
Yeah.
God that you're able to do this, and we got this,
I'm ready to move to the
and people.
couch now. I'm ready to move to
Okay,
the couch
yeah.
instead of in the
See,
kitchen. I'll be in
it's
the
just
kitchen because
flowing. Yeah.
so I know you spoke about loneliness before. This is one of the
Mhm.
questions too. Do you feel like avoided? And I know that you talked about conflict with your family, but how are you and your family grieving? Do you grieve together or separately or
Um, no, honestly, I don't even know how to answer that. That is I don't even know if I need to say a process or ordeal, but like one of my sisters said to me, she was like, "You're the glue to the family." So once this happened to us, it basically destroyed us. So like, we don't get together and things like that. Periodically, maybe somebody here, but it's not the same anymore. Sorry, my earbud
Mhm.
keeps coming out.
I can
But
still hear you.
okay. Yeah,
Mhm.
so it's not the same. It definitely has affected everyone in different ways. Because everybody was connected to my children.
Yeah.
So it really messed everybody up,
Mhm.
literally.
Yeah. Well, I am hoping that as we keep these episodes going, and we're going to try to do this every Monday, and we'll have a
Hmm.
different title and something to talk about every week. And I
Yeah.
know that there's somebody out there that is hurting, you know.
Mm.
I find myself going through grieving the children. And it's like
Mm.
I said, and my good friend Dr. Young said, it's a society problem. And
Hmm.
when I just told her the story, she's just wanting to do anything that she can. So,
Yeah. Yeah.
um,
And
you
like you
know,
said, I really hope that these episodes help someone, and you can always reach out to us. Like Helen is the one that's always going through and screening all the questions. And I thank you for that.
mhm.
Because personally I didn't want to do it because been through so much just through the social media news and things like that. You know, everybody always tell me, don't read the comments, because it's just been some crazy things people have said. But I'm tough skinned if I have to read them. But
Yeah.
this is why we have this podcast, to help, so that you know, we know people out here that they're alone, and they're not. So you know, these, and it helps me. Like I told Helen, I still see a therapist, and I'm okay with that. I might have to see one for the rest of my
Yes.
life
I
on
had
that.
I had to see a
And then,
therapist to do this. And I was telling you, Faith, that you
yeah.
know, this ain't for the weak. This ain't for the people that
Hmm.
don't want to, you know, get down and dirty and do what they can to help. I'm down for the cause. I finish
Right.
everything I start. I cross all my T's and dot all my I's. I
Right.
am known for that. And
Right.
if I could do that for everything, I could do that for my friend and those beautiful children. And
Hmm. And the
I'm gonna
one
be
thing I
here.
realized by going through this too, and it brings up other things, you know, your childhood issues, things you haven't dealt with. I still take training classes because I want to stay abreast, and it helps me personally. And by me doing that, makes me be able to help other people, you know. So,
Yes.
you know,
You
I'm
come a long
always,
way, girl. You come a long way.
yeah,
I
yeah.
mean, I could personally say that. Not as much as a lot of people, but in
I
seven
mean,
years I've
I'm
seen
sorry.
it.
Yeah, you seen how I was just probably just looking like a ghost just existing, and then how now I look like I got
Yeah.
life in me.
Yeah. Yeah. You got a purpose. Definitely a purpose-driven life. And I believe that
Mhm.
God is going to bless this and help a lot of people. And I do. And give you the answers that you asking for too. I do. That's
Mhm.
my prayer. So, like I said, I want to do one more ask because we do need help for this podcast. It is
Mhm.
very difficult. You see, we don't got the best equipment, but we're trying. We're
So we
doing
we
what
gonna get there.
we can. We're gonna get there. So support our Patreon community. It's and I'll list it on the screen, Patreon / Keeping the Faith Podcast.
Mhm.
And that will help us, as little as $5 a month, we can, support us. And we're gonna have good quality and better quality for you, but we're working on it. And hopefully
Yes.
gets to a lot of people. So if you have any questions, feel free to drop them in the comments. I'd love to, if you got any topic ideas or anything like that, we'd love to help you and see what we can do and
Yes.
help each other. This
Yeah.
is healing for me too, because your
Yes.
strength is amazing. It is.
Thank
So,
you.
yes. Well, thank you guys. And until next Monday, God bless.
You've
All
been
right. Everyone
listening
have a
to
good
Keeping
evening
the
and
Faith
stay safe.
podcast with
And
Helen Blashars and Faith Green, episode 2, Grieving with Faith.